Am I good now? Am I good now? I'm not on mute now. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Start over. I'll probably try to like clip that out. Maybe I'll try to do that later in once I'm done with the stream. But guys, thank you, Austin, for letting me know. I appreciate it. I'll kind of start over again. But guys, I want to say welcome into my spoiler talk for Across the Spider Verse. I really do appreciate it. Everybody being in here. AK, I appreciate you saying hi. Noel Gonzalez, I appreciate you. I saw Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie this Friday. Second watch it again in theaters. That's awesome. Let me know what formats you saw it in. Hey, thank you, Austin. I just want to say thank you for letting me know that I was on mute. Yo, check. Uh, yo, man, check your phone. Yeah. I fixed it. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you. We have 4 people in here, so definitely make sure to like the stream. And let me know, guys, your favorite parts of, Across the Spider-Verse. Definitely let me know. Guys, I can't wait. I'm so glad that we finally get to do, like, the spoiler talk for the movie. I've been really kind of holding off to, like, do spoilers because, I really wanted to make sure everybody got to go see the movie. And I really wanted to make sure that everybody got to join in the chat. You're welcome, brother. Anytime, buddy. Yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate it. But yeah, guys, this movie I really do love. Like, there's a lot to talk about. And as you guys can see here, I have the whole movie laid out. This took me, I would say, probably a couple of hours yesterday when I was setting up the stream. I wanted to have, like, the whole layout of the movie so you guys can see here from the photos. This is kind of how the order of the movie goes. And I just cannot get over how much I keep thinking about this movie. I love this movie. It's definitely my favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. I definitely, initially I had Into the Spider-Verse as my favorite, and then, but and the next thing you know, No Way Home came out, and I kind of like beat it by a little bit, kind of like, for like my number one top, favorite Spider-Man movie of all time. Until this movie came out, I kind of had the feeling that Across the Spider-Verse would dethrone No Way Home, and it did. I loved this movie. I still am gonna live by that, where I do think that, Across the Spider-Verse will like stay my number one favorite Spider-Man movie, like probably forever. I feel like I'm gonna live by that because I feel like once they kind of did a movie like this and went above and beyond way more than the first one, I kind of can't think that, oh my god, like what other Spider-Man movie could beat this? They gave us everything we ever would have wanted as Spider-Man fans in this movie. I feel like that, any other Spider-Man film that's going to be coming out is going to be very hard. It's going to be very hard to top this movie. Whether it be, whether it be Tom's next upcoming movies, whether it be, any other Spider-Man project movies, whatever. I feel like it's going to be very hard to kind of top what, Into the Spider-Verse and especially what Across the Spider-Verse have achieved. For a lot of people, even Into the Spider-Verse was like is still number one for a lot of people. And that's crazy because it is an animated movie, but they just hit so many bars, so many levels when it comes to the animation. That's why people still keep it from the high standard of it being their number one movie. But like I said, No Way Home beat Into the Spider-Verse for me just by a little bit because it was like a live action Into the Spider-Verse until I knew when this movie came out it was going to be my number one. So that's just for starters. This is my number one movie as of right now when it comes to Spider-Man. And I also hope that this movie gets like Oscars. I'm really hoping it wins some Oscars for like best animation, best movie. I definitely think that this is also the best movie of the year. I'm going to stand by that. I think no other movie is going to beat this movie. I had that feeling initially when we had Guardians of the Galaxy, but I knew that this movie was going to come out and this movie was going to be insane. But I'm still living by this, where this is the number one movie of the year. It's my number one, and I do think Guardians is after that. I do think that. I don't think any other movie is going to like get up to that level. Because we had a lot of great movies this year when it came down to Creed and Mario, but I definitely think that this is the number one movie of the year. I don't think any other movie is going to take that place. But guys, I loved the beginning of this movie. We started it very differently in the beginning of this movie with Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy actually gave her intro to the movie. It didn't start with Miles, it started with Gwen. And if anything, this movie is just as much as Gwen's stories as it is Miles' story, which I do really appreciate because we get a lot more, they confirmed this Haley and also why am I forgetting bro's name? Also, Shamik Moore, they confirmed that this is really like a love story. This is really kind of like Miles and Gwen. We get to see more of their love connection in this movie, and I do really appreciate we kind of get to see, they're kind of like their friendship is tested. They're kind of like they're more than friends is kind of like tested a bit in this movie, and kind of like, oh, will they just be friends or will they be more than friends? I like how we were kind of playing with that in this movie, but I really appreciated kind of how we started this movie with Gwen, and the opening drum solo was very fun. Superwise, what's up, man? Sup, man? I prefer Into the Spider Verse by a hair, but I love Across the Spider Verse. I think, yeah, best movie of the year so far. They definitely upped the ante, 100%, bro. I definitely agree with you. Them upping the ante. Like I said, bro, this movie did things that it doesn't even compare. Like Across the Spider Verse is great. I mean, Into the Spider Verse is great, but this movie did so many things that like they upped things so much when it came to the animation, when it came to the action, when it came to the storytelling, that this just took it even more. Like not, I would say by a lot, honestly. Um, Austin, you said my favorite parts were the fight scenes and cameo scenes, and exporting the different worlds, and the editing was the most insane moment. What do you say? The ending was the most insane moment of all of yeah in all movie history, bro. What about you? Dude, I love that ending. I can't wait to talk about that because, like I said, I loved the beginning of this movie with the opening drum solo with Gwen. I really appreciated it. I thought it was really cool that we started this movie with her because we didn't all think, okay, like we knew that Gwen was gonna get a lot more screen time. I just would have never expected it would have started from Gwen's perspective of opening up the movie, but I appreciated it because she's explaining that, she hurt Miles, and she's like, you think you might know the story of Miles Morales, but you don't. And we kind of wonder as viewers, what does she mean by we don't know the story of Miles? And we get that's kind of like the main premise of this movie is Miles is kind of like story of how he became Spider-Man. You know what I mean? And kind of the perspective of how we think we know how he became Spider-Man, but in reality, it's actually not the case, which I can't wait to get into. The Lego universe was so fun. Spectacular coming back, yeah, with the line was awesome. Facts, bro. I love when Spectacular came in. And bruh, ain't no one expected Donald Glover to show up as the Prowler, bro. I love that's my favorite cameo was Donald Glover as Prowler, which I have it actually up in here too. If you guys can you guys can see. I gasped so loud. Well, favorite cameo, 100%, bro. Donald Glover back as the Prowler, and I want to say it's the same Prowler because, as we all know, it's been 5 years, kind of since since we last saw. I would say, since we last saw kind of Donald Glover as Uncle Aaron in Spider-Man: Homecoming. So I feel like at that point he has been the Prowler, and of course, I'm trying to remember. Hobie caught him, which I thought that was super funny. Spider-Punk caught him and put him in prison, which I really did appreciate. I thought that was super funny. I can't remember why he was put in that prison. I think I don't want to say he was like an anomaly, or I guess he broke canon, or he did something. I forget really what, but I thought it was funny when they captured him and put him there. And he claimed that he tripped, and I thought that was very funny that he said that he tripped, he fell. But that was probably my favorite cameo was Donald Glover being in there. I mean, we had so many cameos in this movie. We had Spectacular. He actually had a line when he was talking to Miles. We had who else did we have? We had, of course, Insomniac Spider-Man when they said they caught a lot of the game characters, and he's like, "Oh, are you talking to me?" I love when Yuri came back playing the voice of course, for Insomniac Spider-Man, which I thought was really cool that Yuri came in to voice his Spider-Man. I thought that was really cool. I would say by far the Donald Glover cameo was definitely my favorite, but I did like how we got to a lot of different universes in this movie, and I think we'll get a lot more in Beyond. I think they're saving the best ones for Beyond when that comes out March of next year, which a lot of people think that we're waiting too long. I don't think we're waiting too long because I would say it's still earlier in the year where it's like if they have some finishing things they need to do, they can get them done so that way we can get it. I think also for how many people are kind of complaining of, oh my God, we don't want to wait that long. I definitely can see them doing kind of like an end game thing where like they move up the movie for move up the movie like 1 week, like move it up. I could see that happening. I can't imagine they were going to move it up months. Some people think that for the outcry of people being upset about the way the movie ended, about them having to wait until next year, some people think we're going to be getting it this December. I said, hell no, Sony's not going to do that. I would be shocked if they did that. I don't think that they're done at editing the movie and doing things for Beyond the Spider-Verse. I hope that they're almost done, but at the same time, I want them to take their time because, we know how when you rush things, you know what I mean? You can't rush perfection, so I don't want them rushing it. Miles is getting a live-action movie. I heard about that, bro. Superwise, I heard about that, which is a huge W. Really hope it's in the MCU. I don't want it if it isn't in the MCU, bro, because we know there's a Miles there. Because the seeds are the seeds are laid there perfectly. Tom passing the torch after his second trilogy, it would be great. 100%, bro. I agree with you. I want a passing of the torch in the MCU with Tom. I don't know if you know this, but at the end of No Way Home, there was a dubbed version where you heard Miles in the background. You heard Rio calling Miles' name in the background. So I definitely think that like Miles is older at that point because it's been 5 years. So I don't think he got bit yet, but I would like to see them start to plant that maybe in the next movie, where like maybe it's the end credit where like Miles gets bit, and it's the next Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 5, where like Peter is teaching Miles how to become Spider-Man. I would really appreciate that. And then like the third movie, it could be like the passing of the torch or something, like in the third movie, like which would be Spider-Man like 6. So that would be really cool. Oh boy, I definitely expect legit Toby and Andrew cameos and beyond. Tom almost was in Into the Spider-Verse. Yeah, I heard about that. So who knows if he appears. The ante was upped for Across the Spider-Verse, and for Beyond they gonna up it 10 times more. 100%, like 10% more. They're gonna like, it's gonna be insane Beyond the Spider-Verse. We already know that. But like I said, I really appreciated the opening with Gwen Stacy. I really liked that a lot. I liked how she says, "You think you might know the story of Miles Morales being bit by the spider, but you don't." And she's like, I hurt Miles, and we kind of get some like scenes from later in the movie. And I do appreciate that we kind of deep dive more into kind of like what Gwen's life has been, like how Gwen's life has been. Not only like before she went into the Spider-Verse, like when she was like there with Peter and all that stuff, and kind of how Peter died when he became Lizard, and it was the fight in the gymnasium that killed him, and she was kind of in shock saying, "Oh, Peter, what did you do?" And kind of like, "I didn't know it was you." And it's kind of like, her Peter knew that she was Spider-Woman. Like he knew. I don't know if he knew that entire time, but he just wanted to be, I think he did, and he just wanted to be like her, and he thought that would make him, like her, to be a hero. But it just went south where, when he took that, elixir, it turned him into the Lizard, and he actually was out of control and tried to hurt, the one jock, but also tried to hurt, Gwen. So it's kind of, that was a really sad moment, especially when we know that Gwen's father hates Spider-Woman and wants to take down Spider-Woman, and kind of, and just thinks of Spider-Woman as like a vigilante. And it was really sad because Gwen's father comes in the gymnasium and sees Gwen over the body of Peter, like sees Spider-Woman over the body of Peter, and thinks, "Oh, Spider-Woman killed, Peter Parker, the kid that's been sitting around the kid that's been, my daughter's best friend sitting around our dinner table, and this vigilante killed him." That wasn't the case, and I really feel for the moment where Gwen takes off her mask and kind of tries to explain to her father, like, "No, look, like I didn't kill him. You know what I mean, Dad? You need to understand that you have your badge. This is this is me. I'm trying to help people. You're trying to help people." But he doesn't understand, and he says, "You have the right to remain silent." He's about to arrest Gwen. Which at that moment I was like, damn, like your father is being a cop at this point. He doesn't care how much good you've done. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, and all that. Like he just doesn't care. So that happens that point kind of happens like later in the movie where like she is about to get arrested, because I totally forgot, but we have this big opening sequence where like Gwen's life after she kind of shut off after Peter died, and kind of also like said she didn't want any more friends, and she kind of closed off from like having more friends until she kind of meets, of course, Miles. But Miles isn't there anymore. Her friend isn't there anymore. That kind of would understand what she's going through. And of course, she can't tell her father because her father doesn't like Spider-Woman. So it's kind of like she's put in this place where she quits the band. She's having rough conversations with her father because her father wants to go after Spider-Woman, and she can't kind of open up that side because her father wants to go after her. And it's kind of like you feel for Gwen. You feel that she kind of misses Miles because that's the one friend that would understand, and the one friend that she kind of got close to, but he's not there. And she feels like I'm never going to see him again. You know what I mean? He's not here. I'm just going to be alone. And it's kind of tough because the moment where like she ends up going out to kind of go stop her, like Vulture, she thinks it's her Vulture, but it's actually not her Vulture. I really appreciated the artwork of Gwen's universe. It's very like watercolor like paint, and I really appreciated it. I thought it was really like pretty and cool, and I just love the different kind of takes on people and all different Spider-Man and Spider-Woman's universes. Like I really appreciate the different Spider universes. I just really thought it was really cool. Um, Also, I really thought it was cool that we kind of had almost the vulture was almost a vulture from like almost looked like a Leonardo da Vinci kind of take on vulture. You know what I mean? I really appreciate it. Kind of look it was like almost a parchment paper kind of vulture. I thought that was really cool. Um, and especially like she kind of had knew from the glitching. Oh, you're not my vulture. And where are you from, buddy? And then he's like explaining from where explaining like, oh, like this is where I'm from, and kind of didn't like the artwork because they fight in this big museum that this big fight sequence happens in, which I thought was really cool. That the whole fight sequence is in a museum, and kind of like this vulture is kind of like almost made out of parchment paper, almost like a Leonardo da Vinci kind of writings all over like the vulture's artwork. And I just thought it was funny that he did not like the artwork that was in like the modern art that was in this museum while they were fighting. And also, this is the moment where kind of we have Miguel coming in, Spider-Man 2099, and we also have Jessica Drew coming in to kind of take out this vulture. And we end up finding out that this vulture is in what they like to call an anomaly. Like this vulture is an anomaly; it's not supposed to be here. And we end up finding out in the midst of the fight that Miguel O'Hara tells Gwen, saying that you screwed up, you and Miles and everybody screwed up the you let this happen. You left the hole open where like villains like this could come in here and make anomalies, and then problems start happening. Like you guys didn't close the collider. You guys left big enough holes where villains like this would just come in. So I just definitely liked how kind of as we think that the collider from the last movie got closed, where no other kind of ripples could come in, no anomalies could happen, and think that the Miles saved the day and they all the other Spider-Men saved the day. Actually, that's not the case because they left enough holes open where like people can still go through and get to other people's universes and cause problems. And that's like kind of like the fate of the Spider-Verse, that there's kind of openings like this, and that's what Miguel is kind of brought all these Spider-Men together to stop anomalies like this from happening and to protect the Spider-Verse, which I thought was really cool. How that's kind of the concept of the movie, that is Miguel in charge of this Spider Society of protecting the multiverse from anomalies, which I think is really cool. But like I said, it's really sad, which, also I'm going to respond to your thing real quick. You said, I loved this whole movie. Can't wait for part 3. And then the live action Miles Morales movie is going to be awesome. And love Miles and Gwen. I always shipped them together. How about you? I definitely always ship them together, Miles and Gwen. I love their dynamic. I think they're great. And I definitely loved the dynamic in this movie of them kind of, missing each other. And then kind of, their friendship is tested. Whether it be their friendship is tested of like, oh, well, are they more than friends? Or their friendship is tested for betrayals that Gwen does against Miles, and what I mean, betrayal. So I just love how it's kind of like their relationship is tested in many ways between their friendship and also them possibly being together. But yeah, I definitely thought it was sad when like Gwen's father comes across Spider-Woman, and we get like the coolest fight sequence in this movie with that vulture, but especially with Miguel O'Hara and the way he moved. I really thought that was really cool. His entrance when he came in, when Jessica Drew came in with her bike and kind of like did the wheelie on that vulture's face. I just thought that was really awesome, especially the run sequence where we have like Miguel and we have Spider-Woman running like around kind of like the museum, and kind of we have Gwen like kicking the vulture in the face, and kind of like the way they were able to stop the helicopter from crashing down. I thought that was really cool too, especially like I thought the artwork, the animation with Gwen, using all of her webs trying to stop the helicopter from crashing down, not just on her father, but on everybody that's in the museum. But I thought it was specifically really funny when the helicopter is stopped from falling down and it's kind of all webbed up on the ceiling. The one dude says, "Oh, I think it's a Banksy." That made me laugh, like the little art reference. He's like, "Oh, I think it's a Banksy," and it's kind of like a callback to Post Malone's little thing, like his kind of like thing that he said when like all of the glitching was happening for the first time and Into the Spider-Verse, and kind of like makes the street art. And then the one dude says, "Oh, I think it's a Banksy." So I like how that came back around, like Post Malone's little cameo segment of saying, "Oh, I think it's a Banksy." I like how that came back around, and it's like, why would this dude think that this that this is kind of like an art show thing that's happening right now, where like, oh, the art's being made. Like, why would people think that in the midst of all this destruction of that, all these Spider Men trying to stop, this, villain? Like, why would this civilian just think that this is kind of like some art, show going on right now? I just thought that was super funny. But like I said, I thought it was really sad when kind of Gwen's father was getting ready just to arrest Spider Woman after she just saved everybody and kind of like shot the gun. I thought at that moment, oh my god, like, is he gonna like try to kill Spider Woman? Is he gonna try to kind of get revenge for Peter's death, like for like her daughter's friend? Get revenge for her daughter's friend. I was like, is he really gonna do that? Because when he shot it up in the air and like she's trying to explain, like, look, I just saved all these people, like, officer, please listen, and he just wouldn't listen. But it took it where like Gwen had to take off her mask, and mind you, there was a lot of already like heat build up between how like her father does not like Spider Woman, and the moment where like she takes off her mask, her father really had nothing to say besides you have the right to remain silent, and was from the cop's perspective and not kind of listening to her as like her own father, like as a father. He wasn't listening as her father. He was listening as like, okay, like, I'm a cop, I need to arrest this vigilante. And that was really sad. I was really happy though, but I was still sad that she kind of had to leave her universe. And and if it wasn't for Jessica Drew saying like, Miguel, we can't just leave her here, he would have left her there, because he didn't want Gwen involved, even though like Gwen impressed Jessica Drew with the way she was maneuvering, fighting that vulture, and saying, oh, she could help. We could always, use more recruits trying to stop anomalies. Like, why the hell not? And he said, why? Because of the connection. We end up finding out that the connection that she has to Miles, and kind of the connection that she has to Miles of kind of them trying to take down the Collider and so-called closing it, where there would be no more anomalies and no more, destruction happening. Where it's kind of like there's a lot on that, the connection to Miles, and on top of, them failing to stop to close the Collider from doing damage and stuff across the, so that way there would be no damage to the Spider-Verse. So it was sad that she had to leave, but I understood why she had to leave. I was like, you can't stay, because you were us as viewers seeing that, we're like, she can't stay. Her father would try to arrest her. She can't stay here, and she has nothing left. And she even tells her father that, like, I have nothing left. I need you to be my father. I need you to listen to me. I did not kill Peter. I did not know it was him. I just saved all these people. You're trying to help people just as much as I'm trying to help people. And he just wasn't listening. He wasn't listening as a father. He was listening as a cop. And it didn't make sense to him, and he wanted to arrest her. And if it wasn't for Jessica Drew saying, okay, like, she has no one else, we can't just leave her here, she would have been left there. So I did appreciate kind of, her being a part of this big kind of, club. Like he said, welcome to the club, you know what I mean? And give her a bracelet, give her a watch. And it kind of also gives her the opportunity, as we see from that moment, okay, if she has a watch, she can see Miles. And we kind of, instantly from that point, when she looks at her father and then looks at the portal, we get to cut where then it's the title sequence of the movie, and then we're finally with Miles. And seeing where Miles is in this movie, I really thought was awesome. Seeing how Miles is more in tune with his abilities, kind of, he's kind of, we see that he is Spider-Man at this point. He's kind of got, he's kind of, at the point of knowing how to, in a way, balance the life between being Spider-Man, but also kind of being also Miles Morales, and being a good student, but also being a good son to his parents. So we kind of see that he's kind of trying to balance things out, and at this point, and I just appreciate seeing how more experienced he was. Seeing Miles in this movie, I really thought that was really cool too. Seeing how experienced Miles was in the beginning of this movie, and we kind of like in the beginning of this movie, he's trying to race to go to a parent-teacher, I guess it's like a parent-teacher conference about, Miles' future and trying to get him ready for college, which, we saw the clip of that where, like, he's fighting Spot at the time while they're waiting for him with the counselor about him trying to set up, mind you, he's a sophomore at this point, but they want to get him started on looking at colleges, and he wants to go, I think he wants to go I forget where he wants to go. I think he wants to go to somewhere in Jersey. I don't want to say it's Princeton, but he wants to go somewhere. Guys, let me know down in the chat, where did Miles want to go? But they're kind of, while they're trying to get ready to do that, Miles has to fight the Spot in the convenience store. That whole sequence was super funny too, where Miles was trying to stop the Spot, and we kind of like the Spot is trying to tell Miles like, oh, you made me, like I made you, and we get that whole segment in the movie. I did appreciate also like the kind of little Easter egg we got to Miles fighting the Spot, but also going through the different portals, landing in Foam Party, that coffee shop that was kind of an Easter egg to the first movie. I caught that where like they were fighting and there was bubbles. The bubbles came from when they went through the car wash and then they went into the Foam Party coffee place and there was actually foam everywhere. It was like from the bubbles. I thought that was funny, like a little nod back to the first movie with Foam Party. But I appreciated that whole fight sequence, especially where Miles is flipping on the roof and kind of like Spot's trying to punch him through different like through his different spots, and he grabs the Spot's fist and throws it back at him, and then like webs his different body parts through the different spots. I thought that was really fun, and I also thought it was funny when like he said, "Oh, your suit's too tight in the back." I thought that was funny, and then we get to, of course, him trying to run and make it to his conference with his parents to kind of talk about college and stuff. And then, of course, that's when his parents find out that he has, I think, a B in Spanish. And his mom was upset, saying, "How do you have a B in Spanish?" You know what I mean? I feel like that snap with the Puerto Rican flag kind of showed like, hey, like your ancestors would be very disappointed right now that you have a B in Spanish. So I just thought that was super funny that, he missed about like 6 classes and his mom wasn't having it at that point. But of course he had to leave because the Spot was still like got the ATM, and we get this whole sequence where they're back at I forget where they're back at. They're back at I forget what labs it is. They're back at it's on the tip of my tongue what the name of the lab is. I think it's called like Malcolm X. They're back at Malcolm X at the kind of like the destruction site of Malcolm X, and of course that's when the Spot says, "Oh, we're back where everything started, where you became Spider-Man, and and I'm the one that made you Spider-Man." And we get the insight where like the dude that got hit with the bagel in the first movie is the dude that becomes Spot, and apparently when he was doing tests for the collider, he brought the 42 spider from Earth 42. He brought that spider here, and that's the spider that bit Miles. So we ended up finding out that that spider was from Earth 42. We ended up finding that out in this movie that spider was never here. And I thought the glitching was just the editing of them trying to make it look like, oh, it's poisonous and unstable from like when we saw the spider in the first movie. But no, the glitching was because that spider was from Earth 42. That's why they had the number 42 on it. It wasn't because it was like Project 42 or Segment 42. No, it's because it was from Earth 42, and that destabilization was because it was from Earth 42 and it was in Miles's universe. So we ended up finding out that if it wasn't for the Spot doing the kind of test with the collider, the spider would never have came here to bite Miles. And kind of like that's what the Spot's trying to say, like, I made you, but you made me this. When you destroyed the collider, you turned me into the Spot. Like how that I made you the superhero, you made me into this villain that like that nobody likes, that our people are scared of, and he's just angry because and he's angry that Miles isn't taking him serious. So like he knows that Miles's identity, like he knows like who Spider-Man is. Like I bet you he knows because he saw the kid in the collider getting bit. He saw all that stuff happen. So in a way, I would think he would know he's Miles. But like the fact of it is that he's not happy that Spider-Man is treating him like, I'm not even a villain of the week, like, you know what I mean, or just some. I think he said, "Oh, you're just like you're not even a villain of the week." Like he's just disrespecting Spot, and I was just like, "Damn, bro, like you're not taking him serious." But like in a way, I wasn't taking him serious until I saw like because me and my bros were asking like Spot doesn't seem too serious, but he's supposed to be like this big villain. It's because Miles not respecting him makes him become that villain. A villain that's like, oh, you think I'm not scary now, just you wait. And he ends up going across these different, Malcolm X's kind of, like Malcolm X, research facilities trying to kind of, go to these different colliders and get more spots. Like that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to get more powerful. So that's essentially like what he's trying to do. He's trying to show Miles that I can be this big villain. You're not taking me serious, but you will. I will destroy everything like you destroyed my entire life. I'm going to destroy your entire life. So essentially, like that's what like the big premise of it is: the Spot going to different these different universes where there's like these different colliders, trying to get more spots, trying to become more powerful. that's really the premise of the movie. And I really did like when like Gwen came, because Gwen ends up coming from when we saw the clip, the same clip that we got from the first teaser to the clip that we from yeah from the teaser that we got for Across the Spider Verse is when Gwen comes in, and that doesn't take place until Miles, of course, the Spot ends up kicking his butt into his own portal, and then that's when he ends up finding out that his spots can lead him into different points of the in the kind of like the multiverse. And I liked how like that's how he kind of found out, was in the midst of him being embarrassed, is when he kind of found out what he's capable of, and kind of sets him on the journey to get more spots to kind of take over and kind of destroy and become the big villain that he wants, that the big villain is Spider-Man. Like that's what he wants to do. So I really did think that was really cool that he kind of, we get different, cameos of him going to different, universes. We see Lego Spider-Man universe with the Lego Daily Bugle. I thought that was very funny when he went through that portal. He went through in the Venom live action universe, and of course, we see Miss Chen. I like that moment too, where like we see her and she's like not phased about what's going on. I thought that was super funny. And then of course there was like on the gum it says like Brock's Mints or something, or it says Brock's Gum or Brock's Minty's Gum, or it said something like that, where like it was a hint to Eddie Brock. I thought that was very cool. And I just like how we kind of knew at that moment, like my holes can lead me to places. And it was funny because the one dude's like, "Oh, can you stop talking about your holes? You're making things uncomfortable." And because he got back to the destruction site for the Malcolm X facility. So I thought that was really cool that we kind of got back to that point. But other than that, though, with other parts of the story, we get Miles having a conversation with his dad. I like in this movie we get a lot of like conversations with Rio and Jeff. I like that a lot. That's really tested in this movie, is Miles trying to balance the life of being Spider-Man, but also trying to balance the life of trying to be a good son. And it's interesting where he's kind of trying to give advice to Jeff when he's Spider-Man, saying, "Oh, maybe you gotta let your son spread his wings, and you know what I mean. You gotta you gotta kind of take things easy with him and stuff like that." He's trying to give him advice and kind of like trying to get it, and you can just see that he's trying to communicate with his father even as Spider-Man, but also trying to keep his identity, like trying to make saying, "Oh, like I'm Spider-Man right now, but I can make my life easier by trying to talk to my dad and be like, try to like talk to him and try to get him to explain what I could be going through." You know what I mean? So I liked those moments, but I also like the moment where like he has to kind of try to make it back in time to bring cakes to this rooftop party, and the rooftop party is for his dad. Like this rooftop party is for his dad becoming captain or becoming captain soon. And Miles, of course, doesn't make it in time because he ends up, you see the struggle again between being, Miles, and also trying to balance a life between Miles being him and also Miles trying to be Spider-Man. You see that kind of struggle where like he is trying to be the son right now. He's trying to be Miles, and he's trying to make it to his dad's party, the rooftop party, but Spider-Man, his duties of being Spider-Man get in the way where he has to stop like this weird armadillo kind of villain on when he's on the trolley with the cakes. And also it goes back where like the guy, the kind of the counselor is like saying before Miles walks into the room when he's late from fighting the Spot, where the counselor is like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. And Miles is like, unless you bake two cakes. And kind of you see where Miles has two cakes, he can't swing. So it's kind of like going back to like, Miles thinks he can have his cake and eat it too, but in reality, you can't. At this point, it's really hard for Miles to balance both life of being Miles Morales and also being Spider-Man. And you see that while he's trying to get to his father's party, and like Jeff takes the mic and is giving this beautiful speech about, his wife being very supportive and being always there for him. And also, he's like, I'm going to make it out also to my son, the reason I do what I do, and saying, Miles, I love you. You know what I mean? And I think he said something where it's like, "Oh, I might not always be there to tell you that." And it kind of makes you like think, "Oh shit, like Jeff is gonna die." Like we have that kind of like him giving that speech and saying like, "I love you, Miles," like, wherever you're at, like, you know what I mean? and whether I'm all, I forget, he's like me, I forget what he says, but like he kind of gives the idea of like, oh my god, is Jeff gonna die by him giving this speech? And we kind of got the idea of that. That's where I kind of said to myself, hey, you said Noel Gonzalez, you said uh SDCC Marvel Phase 5 and 6 and Phase 7 and DC SDC James Gunn DC Full Slate Gods and Monsters. What about that? I know about that, but yeah, it's gonna be cool with me for San Diego Comic Con, bro. That's for sure. Yeah, but I did. It kind of gives the idea of that Jeff is gonna die, and we got that from the official trailer, which I was kind of like, I wasn't bothered, but I think the official trailer did show too much, where kind of we kind of got the insight of like Miguel O'Hara saying, you know, you have a choice to save one person or save the fate of the multiverse, and we kind of get the idea. Oh my god, like Miles has to let his father die to save the multiverse. That's essentially the plot here, where it's like when his father was talking, I knew at that moment, I was like, it is true. Like the trailer gave too much away. Him giving the speech, I think he's gonna die. Even Rio was looking at like, you know, Jeff, like, oh my god, like it almost sounds like you're not gonna be here forever. I mean, like kind of she gave, you know, Jeff that look of like that worried look of like, why are you talking like you're never gonna like get, you know, never gonna get the chance to like kind of like, you know, tell Miles you love him again. You know what I mean? Like why are you kind of, you know, she just gave a look to Jeff like, why are you talking like that? And I got that moment. I even looked over at my friend Troy. I was like, Jeff's gonna die. I'm like, the trailer gave away too much. I'm like, you know, they kind of confirmed in the trailer that kind of confirmed in the trailer that Jeff, like the plot of the story of that, Miles has to choose save the multiverse. You know what I mean, by not saving his father, or save his father, and then the multiverse is kind of like destroyed. And we kind of get more of an insight on that because, you know, Gwen ends up coming in where Miles gets grounded. Miles gets grounded for one, showing up late to the party. The cakes got destroyed, and the cakes were supposed to spell out he got two cakes because he had a lot to say to make up for kind of trying to balance the life of him being Spider-Man, but also trying to be a good son. But he can't tell them that he's Spider-Man, so he's just trying to write out his feelings about like how he feels like, you know, he's been letting down his parents. He's trying to make it up to his father on his big day of kind of, you know, them about his on his big day of kind of, you know, him telling the neighborhood that he's going to become, you know, police captain. And it's just really sad because when he's swinging and, you know, and the cakes get stuck on, a taxi, and they kind of just get destroyed because also he's trying to get changed and get up to the rooftop. They get destroyed to the point where like on the cake it says, I'm not proud of you, or I'm not proud. And it's like, that's not what I meant, because he said they have some heartfelt speech on it. And they didn't. It said, I'm not proud, or I'm not proud of you. I was like, damn, bro. He's like, that's not what I meant. And of course, he gets grounded for showing up late, for getting not good grades in Spanish, and just, you know, him saying whatever when his mom is trying to like speak to him, saying like, what's been going on, Miles? Like, what's your excuse? Why are you late? Oh, did you was you doing a new mural more important than you being here? Or are you hanging out with some friends we don't know of? So it's just like they were getting on his case, but he's trying to balance this life. And I always love that with the Spider-Man character, because it doesn't matter who you are as Spider-Man. That's just the thing where it's hard to balance a day-to-day life between being Spider-Man, but also being you in your normal day life. It's always going to be a hard balance, but that's the thing that's the kind of the gig you signed up for when you're Spider-Man. So I do definitely like how he's trying to, like, even though he's improved with all his new abilities and stuff like that, and really becoming his own Spider-Man, he's having that struggle that every Spider-Man has, which makes them one and the same, of trying to balance the life between being Spider-Man, but also him being, living his day-to-day life by being Miles Morales. So he gets grounded. I think his parents said for like 3 months, and of course he goes back to his room. And that's when Gwen comes in. And mind you, it's changed. It's not the same, it doesn't look the same from when we got the teaser. Miles was wearing a white t-shirt in the teaser. In this movie, he was wearing his Brooklyn jersey with his number on it. And also he was wearing a long sleeve white shirt instead of a short sleeve white shirt. So a lot of the things were different. I definitely think that they changed some things from the time we got that first teaser to the time the movie officially got released. But it was just a nice, instantly Gwen hugs Miles, and Miles is trying to play it cool. And of course, Miles is trying to hide things around his bedroom. And this is the bedroom that he, used to live, that he had when he was a kid, when he's not staying at his school. So, he's trying to hide all of his, baby, almost kind of like his toys and kind of like his baby toys from when he was younger. And it's just really cool because he's also trying to hide the book that he of his drawings of Gwen. Gwen sees it and says, "I missed you too." And of course, we get the big sequence where like Gwen goes out the window and wants to catch up with him and swing around. And he's like, "I'm grounded," and she said, "Bummer." And she's like, "Is Spider-Man grounded?" And of course, that's when he goes out and they swing. The music in this movie was phenomenal. I loved the music in this movie by Metro Boomin. He made the soundtrack for this movie. We had so many great features in the soundtrack, whether it be ASAP Rocky, whether we had Little Uzi Vert, whether we had Future. We had some other new names for people that I didn't know. But either way, Metro Boomin produced the soundtrack phenomenally. And I forget the name of the song that we had for that sequence. I want to say, I don't know what it was, but just know that the soundtrack was fire, super cool. I'm really curious to know like what was your guys' favorite songs, but it was just a damn good soundtrack that we had for this movie. So them just swinging, catching up. She's talking about how about Miguel O'Hara, bringing her into the Spider Society and bringing her and telling her about how cool Jessica Drew is, and telling her about Hobie and how like Hobie lets her stay in his universe sometimes, and and just he's like, like what kind of he said like, oh, what kind of staying in the universe are we talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what do you mean by that? He lets you stay over. Like what do you mean? So it's kind of like in a way he's like jealous of Hobie, and we kind of got that from like when Haley and also kind of the producers of the movie kind of came out and said that Miles, there's like a little bit of jealousy that Miles is going to have between Hobie and kind of Hobie, like Hobie's connection to Gwen and Gwen's connection to Hobie Spider Punk. So I appreciated that too. That kind of he's a little bit jealous of the fact of like, oh my god, you've been hanging out, because he asked who Miguel is, and instantly he's thinking, oh, is it Miguel some other dude? Until she explains like, oh, he's just some ninja, spider vampire that's really cool, and then we get to Hobie saying, oh, he lets me crash in his universe sometimes. He's like, well, what do you mean by that? But you could see also while he's trying to impress, Gwen, showing Gwen how much he's learned about being Spider-Man, about like the swinging. He's just copying her. He's just like following her lead, trying to look like, oh yeah, I've like, look at me. I've grown. You know what I mean? I'm not the same little kid that you knew. Like I'm old enough now. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like we could date. I'm not that kid anymore. So I appreciated that too. You said self-love. Yeah, it's self-love. Yeah, well, self-love is the song that we had in the beginning of the movie where when Gwen went to the dance and we kind of see Gwen by herself and she's explaining about how her life has been. That's the song we got in the beginning, Superwise. That was self-love. I'm not sure what the name when they were swinging was, but that was a good song too. And then you said Mona Lisa. Yeah, it was Mona Lisa. That was the song. Yeah, Superwise. That was the song, Mona Lisa. The song you're thinking, Zach. Yeah, Mona Lisa. I loved that song, bro. It was fantastic. But I definitely, Gwen, we end up finding out the only reason she came to the universe wasn't to see, well, she wanted to see Miles, but that's not initially why she was allowed to go to his universe. She had to stop the anomaly of Spot. Spot and him, and him becoming a thing isn't an anomaly. It wasn't supposed to happen. Along with some other things we end up finding out where like, that was the anomaly that they had to stop. It was a big threat to the multiverse, Spot's abilities. So that's why Gwen was sent there by Jessica Drew and also by Miguel to stop the Spot. Not to see Miles, because we end up finding out also where, just because when she gets back to kind of, she has to leave, Miles to, because, she has the notification on her bracelet about kind of like what the Spot is up to, and she has to leave, and she ends up going back to the party, like I said, like she ends up going back to the rooftop party with Miles, and of course, Jeff and also Rio end up seeing Miles with Gwen, and of course, Rio like steps in the middle of Miles and Gwen because Rio's like, hey, like, oh, I hope you're not trying to steal my son from me. Oh, like, oh, I hope you don't break his heart, and kind of just being how any mom would, trying to not being the cool mom, but being like, oh, like don't take my son away from me. You know what I mean? And just being the protective mother. Like, who is that? Like, who is that girl? I've never seen her before, and why is she with my son? So I appreciated that, but also I appreciated like how Gwen's like, oh my god, I heard so much about you. You must be Rio, and wanting to try to get to know Miles' parents because if anything, like I said, like Gwen likes Miles, whether she wants to like outright say it or not. We know that they want to be more than friends, and of course, she was excited to meet Miles's parents. You know what I mean? Like she was excited to meet them because Miles talks about them like so much, and also Miles is such a great person because of his parents. So she was excited to meet them, but it just got really awkward to the point where like she's like, oh, I need to get back on track. I actually need to do what I was sent here to do. And of course, she ends up finding out it's too late, where she was supposed to stop Spot before he did any big things and made anything worse and made any jeopardy to the Spider Verse. But he ends up getting away, and he ends up making a small little collider, and he ends up being sent into the Spider Verse. And now at this point, he got more spots where he's able to travel to different parts of the multiverse and pretty much go to different parts of Malcolm X's to get more particles, to get more spots. That's what he's trying to do, to get really powerful and to pretty much just destroy Miles's life and also Miles's universe and make problems for him. Like that's what he's trying to do. You said as the Puerto Rican, Rio was spot on, laughing my ass off. This representation is so accurate. Yeah. Oh yeah, bro. I loved what they were doing. I really did love it, man. I loved how we got to really be with Rio more and be with Jeff more and really get to be like spend more time with the parents, because I say in the first one we didn't really get to spend that much time with the parents. So seeing how they're kind of like, they don't like how Miles is growing up too fast, but Miles is eager to want to learn things. That's why he's eager to go to that college out in Jersey. And even Rio was like, that's too far for Miles to go. That's way too far. And he said Jersey is far in New York. Like he wants to explore, wants to learn. He's eager to learn. Mainly, he's eager to learn I think he wants to learn quantum physics, because he wants to learn how to be able to travel through the multiverse to go see Gwen. Like that's his eagerness to want to go see his friends, but also see Gwen. So I just like how kind of like her like the parents see that Miles is growing up too fast. Like they're like, especially his mom is worried about like losing him. I do love the speech where like Gwen leaves and she has to go do that and ends up finding out that the Spot got away and she kind of wasn't supposed to go see Miles. I do like it made me cry, this segment where like Rio ends up talking to Miles and saying, you know what I mean, like you're just growing up so fast, you know what I mean, I'm so used to protecting this little boy and kind of, you know what I mean, and you're just growing up so fast. I'm not ready to kind of like let you grow up and leave. You know what I mean? I'm not ready for that, for all these big changes. And she's like, just promise me you'll always protect that little boy inside. You know what I mean? That I would take care of and pretty much, and pretty much, I forget the word for it. Like she said, the little boy used to take care of and kind of, say that you belong anywhere. Like, you know what I mean? That you belong anywhere, no matter what anybody tells you, you belong anywhere. And I'm worried that they won't root for you just as much as we do, and kind of just giving him a speech saying that like I'm worried about kind of you going off in the world and people not looking after you, and you know what I mean, I'm worried that people won't root for you like we will. And just it was a really sad sequence where it's like Miles is growing and we're seeing that he's not that kid anymore, and pretty much he says that in the entire movie is the premise that he's not a kid anymore. This is his life and he wants to live his life, and he doesn't even like when his parents try telling him what he can and can't do, because he thinks he's old enough now to make his own decisions and live his own life. And that's really another big premise of the movie too, is him trying to be his own Spider-Man, be his own person, and not having other people tell him how he's gonna live his life. I do like that in this movie, that's kind of like the premise of the movie, is that him wanting to live his own life and kind of being his own person. I do like that a lot. But definitely, I thought it was interesting, and I thought it was interesting the moment where like when Gwen got back to the site where the Spot was. I liked how they're able to like rewind and see what happened. And of course, Miles, Rio let Miles leave to go catch up with Gwen. And we get another cool song with Sway Lee. He was singing it. I forget what it's called. I think it's called Investigate or something like that. I think that's what it's called. But that was a really cool song. And he ends up being invisible, kind of trying to see where Gwen is going. And then that's when he ends up finding out that from Jessica Drew, saying that you weren't supposed to see Miles, and you know why, and you came here to stop the Spot. And you can tell that Miles is hurt by that. Like, he was that Gwen was never supposed to go see him. and Gwen was just supposed to stop the spot, and kind of hearing like. Hearing Jessica Drew saying, "Oh, Miguel's not going to be happy that you lost the spot and you went to go see Miles when you weren't supposed to," and she's like, I needed to see if he was okay, and and see how he's been." And she's like, didn't you ever make a mistake? Didn't you ever get close to somebody?" And she's like, "Yeah, I did, but she's like, "Yeah, I did, but like I got over it. Like I did the right thing." And it's kind of like, they're not. Jessica Drew is more like, is the one that kind of is a soft spot for Gwen, and I feel like we really saw that from the beginning. So I would say that's really like, Gwen's really like, it's kind of like Gwen's guardian, her mentor. You know what I mean? That has kind of been looking over her, like looking after her, especially when it comes to Miguel finding out about things. And that's just like, she's like, okay, like you better make this right. He went off to this different universe, and we end up finding out that the universe that Spot went to is Mountbatten, which of course is where Spider India lives. It's Spider India's universe, and I love that sequence where Miguel ends up going after Gwen without Gwen knowing, and there's a whole big fight sequence with Spider India, with Gwen, and also with the Spot, and then we also get Hobie joining in, Spider Punk, and I definitely love where like he ends up getting to the facility, the spot, to get more, to turn on the collider to get more spots. And at this point, he's all like, he's so like, has so many spots that are like blending in that he's becoming overpowered, and almost like he's becoming more powerful, but he's also becoming more stable. The Spot, as he gets to different colliders, he gets more unstable and he gets more powerful. So it gets to the point where like when we see him, when he gets to that point of Mountbatten, that universe, Spider India's universe, he has so much black on him already. Well, when he does get to the Malcolm X facility, or the Alchem X, I've been saying it wrong, Alchem X facility, we end up getting to the point where like he ends up closing the shields when the collider's on, and we end up finding out Miles' new ability, which Miles' new ability is he's able to kind of get, absorb energy, which we see that also in the Miles Morales game, where that's one of Miles' abilities, is able to like absorb energy and then release it. So that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to absorb the energy and then throw it back, but he's using only his fingertips, and he's not using his palms. And that's what Spider Punk ends up coming in, Hobie, and that's when we finally get introduced to Hobie. Ends up breaking through the barrier and says, "Oh, don't just use your fingers next time, use your palms too," and kind of gives Miles that advice. But he actually likes Miles. He doesn't not like him. So I do appreciate kind of like how Miles is almost jealous that Hobie and Gwen's connection. Hobie actually likes Miles, and kind of like likes how like he is, well, first things first, he doesn't like how Miles wants to be a part of the Spider Society, but he wants to be a part of something, Miles, until he finds out that I don't want to be a part of it anymore. And that's where kind of Hobie's like, I like how you want to go against it. Like, you're not for kind of, how things work around here. You want to go against it. And that's kind of how Spider-Punk is. He likes to be a rebel. He likes to kind of, fight the system. And he likes how kind of Miles isn't with how the system works, how Miguel O'Hara is running the Spider Society, about kind of, how, what he gets to like, about what they can and can't intervene in. And Miles, of course, ends up saving, Spider India's, Petra, I think his name is Pravetra Parker, if I'm correct. That's how you say his name. But he actually ends up saving, I think his name is Pavetra's, Captain Stacy, when he wasn't supposed to. So, and at that point, Miles apparently broke canon and made a broke canon event, and that's why that there was kind of this darkness on like trying to like invade Pavetra's like world and kind of just trying to destroy Mountbatten. But I think that Miles even said it where kind of Miguel's mad at Miles. One, for Miles even being there when he's not supposed to be there, because he knows something that we don't know, but we end up finding out that he's mad at the reason that Miles is there, and kind of like mad, doesn't like Miles at all, because Miles apparently is an anomaly. Miles, we end up finding out in this movie that Miles was actually never supposed to get bitten by that spider. That spider was never meant for him. It was meant for the Miles. It was meant for somebody on Earth 42. It was meant for someone on Earth 42. That's what where the spider came from, and it was never supposed to be meant for Miles. he is the original anomaly, we end up finding out in this movie. And the kind of like it sets, I wouldn't say it sets up Miguel O'Hara where like he ends up taking over the Spider Society. He builds the Spider Society because he broke a canon event of him finding out that there was a universe where Miguel O'Hara had a peaceful life with his daughter, and that Miguel O'Hara, that universe where it was canon, was supposed to die. But our Miguel O'Hara, went over there to try to replace that Miguel O'Hara that died, and it ended up destroying that universe. And that's why kind of Miguel has kind of been so keen on keeping things canon and trying to stop anomalies. And that's why he's just so angry at Miles, is because he's kind of the original anomaly where like he wasn't supposed to become Spider-Man. It was actually supposed to be somebody over from the Earth 42 was supposed to get bit, and that spider was never supposed to come here. And also for the reason that the spider came to Miles's universe and bit him, that is the reason why that Peter died. That Peter was never supposed to die. That and Miles was never supposed to become Spider-Man, and somebody on Earth 42 was supposed to become Spider-Man. That spider was never supposed to come here, but it was because of that Malcolm X employee, the Spot. That is the reason that spider came here and it was not and bit Miles when it wasn't supposed to. So I didn't like how also Miguel, was trying to tell, Miles, trying to show him the canon events that are supposed to happen, and showed, everybody like how all Spider-Man had to deal with the death, and we end up seeing, Miles ends up seeing himself with, Uncle Aaron, and also says, this is also supposed to happen where, captains are supposed to die in Spider-Man's life. That's just how things work. And then that's when Miles kind of realizes my dad's going to be captain, is going to be turning captain. And, that's when he kind of says, like, it has flashes earlier in the movie, like the Spot's supposed to kill my dad. How long do I have to stop that from happening? And Miguel won't let Miles leave. And I even said this. I theorized this when we got the official trailer, saying that, like, Miles is going to try to break the system of how all Spider-Man have to deal with a death. You know what I mean? And for it has to deal with a death. Like, all Spider-Man have to deal with deaths in their kind of, their life of being Spider-Man. I mean, like, that's just what that's what just needs to happen. And Miguel's saying that these are canon events where, like, Miles' father has to die. And I liked how Miles is like, I'm not letting my father die. That's not happening. You know what I mean? I'm not going to, just because some AI says that this is a canon event and it needs to happen, I'm not doing it. And I did appreciate kind of, even Hobie was kind of like, appreciating the fact that Miles isn't down for kind of how things work in the Spider Society, is going against the system. Hobie is happy about that. And Hobie's actually, again, called back to, again, don't mind when Miguel O'Hara traps, Miles in this kind of, energy field, so that way he doesn't leave, because he can tell that Miles isn't going to listen. I liked where, Hobie, Hobie was like looking at him, when Miles like Hobie's like, use your palms, not just your fingertips, trying to give him a key to break out of that kind of, electricity barrier. And we get this whole big chase scene where Miles is trying to get back to his universe to try to stop Spot from killing his father and trying to break that canon event. Because, Miguel thinks if that canon event does not follow through, the fate of the multiverse is at risk for the Spider-Verse. And mind you, he calls it the polymorphic, subliminal, symbiotic, I forget what he says, like symbiotic, I forget what he calls, like he calls it like the polymorphic, and the anti-polymorphic, multiverse or something like that. And of course it sounded stupid, and then Miles said it's the Spider-Verse, like it's the Spider-Verse, and it sounds better than the polymorphic multiverse or whatever the hell he was calling it. But essentially, like, they're trying to stop Miguel and all the other Spider-Men are trying to stop Miles from getting to his universe, to try to stop the Spot, or to trying to stop that canon event from the Spot killing his father, because that's a big moment where, like, his father is supposed to die being captain. Those are big things that happen where, like, the captains of every Spider-Man universe have to die. And it just so happens that Miles' father is becoming captain. And at that point, we kind of, I didn't realize that, oh my God, like, he is becoming a captain. I knew his father was going to die, but I didn't put two and two together, like, oh my God, he is a captain. Usually, like, Captain Stacy or any captain Spider-Man usually has ends up dying. So I guess in a way, it's kind of like, it feels like a canon event where I agree with Miles, where it's like, Who's that? Why is an AI? Why do we have to listen to an AI saying that this is what needs to happen? Who's to say that that's what needs to happen? If you know something is going to happen, why can't you prevent it from happening? So I kind of agree where like he is saying that I can do both. I could save the multiverse and I could save my father. Why can't we do both? And it's not the same thing. Miguel O'Hara went into a canonized event that, you know what I mean, the canonized event already happened, but he went in and tried to replace that Miguel O'Hara that died to be there with that Miguel O'Hara's daughter. That's why that universe broke down. It's not the same thing where like his father's going to become captain and is supposed to die, but like there's no reason why you can't stop that from happening. You know what I mean? There's no reason. I mean, also, I think it has something to do with it where also maybe that it is valid where like canon events need to happen, but like if anybody can tell, if Miles is an anomaly, maybe that canon event doesn't, doesn't fit in to kind of, Miles's life of a canon events happening like that. Maybe that isn't supposed to happen because Miles, as Miguel O'Hara said, you're an anomaly. You weren't supposed to become Spider-Man. So who's to say that maybe him changing that so-called canon event actually won't be the fate of the multiverse? We don't know. Maybe that's like a theory I have. Like if he's a anomaly, maybe him saving his father won't do anything. Maybe it'll be fine. But in reality, I'm fully supporting Miles and saving his father. I like how he wants to break the cycle. I was like, I'm gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna save my father and save the multiverse. I'm gonna be my version of Spider-Man. I'm gonna do me. I like that. I like how he's doing that. And the moment where like, we see the different, because we get a whole bunch of cameos where like we're fighting all these different Spider-Man. Miles is trying to get away. Like we get Spider Rex or Spider T-Rex. I think he's called Spider or Rex Spider or Spider. I don't know. But we get a T-Rex Spider-Man, which I thought was super funny. We get Spider Cat, which I thought was really cool too. I feel like that's also like kind of like I think we have Spider Cat comics. I think we do. I'm not quite sure, but I do like how like I know Spider Cat from the Miles Morales game when he's called Spider-Man. We get that kind of like, side quest mission where we like have to like, get Spider-Cat and bring him back to the bodega. So I do definitely like how that's kind of like a Easter egg of that. I do like that. I think that's kind of cool. But I definitely also like how we got earlier before the whole breakout happens where like Miles is trying to get back to his universe. Like we got cameos to like I said, Donald Glover as the Prowler. We got cameos to like Spider-Man PS4, Spider-Man being captured. Like he like I guess was I don't know if that, because at the same time I don't know if they captured that Spider-Man. I think they did. I think that was an anomaly Spider-Man where like it was the Spider-Man PS4 from the game. But we also had Spider-Man PS4 going after Miles as well. So maybe that like they were two like they're both Insomniac Spider-Man, but one was an anomaly and one wasn't. I don't know. But I definitely like how Spider-Man PS4 was swinging around trying to stop Miles as well. And of course, we had Spectacular Spider-Man giving Miles the speech saying that this is just what needs to happen. This is what we all have to go through where, like, it's a canon event. And it upsets me because, like, off of Miguel's mistake, he thinks that, like, he is doing the right thing when it's not the same thing. Where what he did, a canon event happened, but then he went in there and kind of broke the canon event by him being there and him doing all that stuff. That's why it happened. I don't appreciate the fact also where, he's trying to run from Miguel O'Hara and run from the other Spider-Man. We have, Peter B. Parker with his baby, and it was really cool seeing Mayday Parker. I like that a lot. I thought it was really cool when he came in and kind of trying to talk down Miles and kind of trying to get Miles to see what Miguel's trying to say, saying that, Miles' father does need to die, and trying to explain that to Miles, like it needs to happen. This, you can't win trying to go against this society and to go against this canon event. You need to let it happen. I thought it was after a while it was really annoying when Peter B. Parker kept talking about, oh, you need to hold my baby, or saying but at the end of the day I thought it was really cute because it's like he has a daughter now, so it's dad Peter B. Parker. He's just so so happy about being a dad, and you can just see that. Like, mind you, he was miserable before Into the Spider-Verse, but now that he has a kid off of kind of he ends up telling Miles like I had this baby because of you, because I thought because I thought I would be a good father after the way I was kind of training you, and how you turned out, that I would have a good chance of my baby turning out just as good as you because you're great. And I did appreciate that. I thought that was cute, but I also like Miles took it as like, oh, you're just trying to calm me down so that way they can stop me because they end up finding out, Peter B. Parker's location. And I was like, damn, bro, because from Miles' perspective, he's like, oh, you're just trying to keep me here so they can get me. But I just love that fight sequence, like the way the spider, the way I think it's called Nueva New York. I just love the way like that kind of universe looked, especially the Spider Society like HQ. I thought that looked really cool. It just was very futuristic, and I really liked it a lot. Austin, you said, and I love the reunion with Miles and Peter and Miles meeting his nice uh, uh, meeting his niece, so to speak. You know what I mean? Because Miles looks up to Peter B as a older brother. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. Miles does kind of look up to him as like an older brother, but I did appreciate where like Peter B. Parker kind of looked at Miles like, oh my god, like I can have a like if I could be a good teacher, like you know what I mean, and kind of make this kid turn out great. You know what I mean? That I have a chance to make my kid turn out great. And he even kind of like as Miles like takes down Jessica Drew and pins her to the back of like a bus while like Jessica Drew is trying to go after Miles, trying to get him, and pins her down. Like Peter B. Parker's taking credit for that, saying, "Oh, I taught them how to beat you, so I can't be an all bad terrible teacher." So it's kind of like he's taking credit for like kind of like Miles's greatness of what he's been able to do, and I find that funny because he's kind of like I feel like it also goes back to like what he said about Miles saying like I mean I made you turn out great, so I thought I can make my daughter turn out great. So he's kind of still taking credit for like Miles's good doings. I find that funny, but that whole fight sequence between Miles and Miguel, it got really rough. It got rough as shit when you like picked up Miles and you like got annoyed at Miles and slammed him on the big trolley car that was like heading to space. I think if I'm correct, I think it was like heading to like the moon or heading somewhere because it said something where it was like heading to like outer space. But that was an intense fight sequence where like that's when he tells Miles he's an anomaly. He was never supposed to be bitten by the spider, and that's at that point where like he tells Miguel like like I forget what he does. Like he tells Miguel like nah like I'm gonna do my own thing like he says in the trailer. Ends up like shocking Miguel O'Hara. Like he absorbs Miguel's like suit, like his like like kind of like the electricity that's making his suit unstable, and like blows it back at Miguel and like shoots him down, like and he ends up running into other Spider-Man. And then that's when he ends up telling Gwen, he stands up and tells Gwen saying like goodbye Gwen, because that's what Gwen said to was saying to Miles when Jessica Drew said you weren't supposed to be here, you have to make right by you messing up trying to stop the spot because you went to go see Miles. When she and that also said that was also him when he said goodbye Gwen. That was Miles telling Gwen, I was there when you turned to the city and you were saying goodbye without actually saying goodbye to me. Like I'm saying, that's me telling you that I was there when you said goodbye, Miles. So I kind of like that too, where like him saying that was kind of him telling Gwen, I was invisible when you said goodbye, Miles, and I heard everything that you said that you weren't supposed to see me. And you could just tell how hurt Miles was when, especially when Peter B. Parker told Miguel like this isn't what we talked about, and then that's when Miles ends up finding out like you talked about this, you talked about how me that I wasn't supposed to become Spider-Man and I'm an anomaly, and you know what I mean, and I wasn't supposed to become Spider-Man. Like you talked about this and you knew about this, and even told Gwen like even Gwen knew about it, and that's why Gwen didn't see Miles all this time, because in the time where like Gwen and the time that Miguel and Jessica Drew invited Gwen into their society, they kind of updated Gwen about how Miles is an anomaly. He was never supposed to become Spider-Man, and you know what I mean. In a way, it kind of broke canon because it kind of in a way broke canon. Well, he's gonna be breaking canon, but him being an anomaly, not supposed to become Spider-Man, and his Spider-Man dying. It's like that's why Peter B and that's why Gwen weren't able to see Miles again, because it's going against everything the society stands for about them going to go see anomalies and then being involved with anomalies and stuff like that, and him just not being not supposed to exist being Spider-Man. It's them finding out that information that would stop them from going to see Miles, and that just hurt me. You know what I mean? And it hurt me. Seeing Miles feel be upset about that, and kind of hearing that friends that he wanted to see, that he was willing to move, go to like go to like do like oh he was willing to kind of like focus up and go to New Jersey and kind of move away from his parents, trying to learn about the quantum physics to go see his friends, to find out his friends were capable of seeing him all this time, but didn't go see him because they found out that he was an anomaly. That's so messed up. So I felt really bad for Miles. Like, damn, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not your friends, man. You know what I mean? Like, I just felt really bad. I was angry at all of them. I was angry at Peter B. Parker. I was angry at Gwen. I sure as shit don't like Miguel O'Hara. Broken leave. I don't like that character at all. Whether people want to think what he's doing is right or not, Miles made a good point where like, who's to say who gets to live and die because an AI says so? Like, who, like, that's messed up. He's like, you realize how messed up that is? Like, it's true. Like, why doesn't the AI get to decide who lives, who dies? That's not okay. We're Spider-Man. We're supposed to try to save everybody. That's what we're supposed to try to do. And I understand where Miles is coming from, but the moment like he like sneaks in because his plan was to get everybody to go after him and get everybody away from Spider, the HQ, so that way he could like get out of the building, to get out and go back to his universe. So he ends up putting the machine ends up scanning him and ends up scanning the spider DNA to try to take him back to his universe. It shouldn't have done that because he didn't realize, oh my god, like if it scans the DNA of the spider, it's going to send me back to the universe that the spider is supposed to come to. So the machine scans the spider DNA of the spider of Earth 42 and sends Miles back to Earth 42. But also Miguel O'Hara sends Gwen back saying, you lost him, you didn't catch him, you let him get away. And he's so angry at this point where he sends Gwen back to her universe. And Gwen has a heartfelt talk with her father, and her father ends up understanding, but also Hobie ends up quitting, like as the fight kicks off at Spider HQ of everybody going after Miles. He's happy that Miles is going against the system and trying to save it. He's going to try to save his father. He's happy about it, and he takes off his bracelet and says, "I quit." But also him stealing stuff around the Spider Society HQ was him making a new bracelet because I think he knew the events that were going to happen, where Miguel O'Hara was going to try to go after Miles. And also not only that, but also sending Gwen, blaming him from breaking canon, from saving his father. So he knew that was going to happen. Hobie and made a new bracelet for Gwen, like made a new bracelet for Gwen to get to the universe, to Miles' universe, to try to help him stop Spot from killing his father. But even then, when Gwen goes to Miles' universe, Gwen ends up finding out, oh my god, Miles is in the wrong universe, and it's the universe where Uncle Aaron is alive still. That was crazy, seeing Uncle Aaron again. And this Uncle Aaron is definitely evil. We thought Uncle Aaron from Into the Spider-Verse was evil. No, this dude's a straight out evil dude. Like, he's evil. But you said, Superwise, you said, felt instantly bad. This family formed in the first movie is torn apart. Exactly, bro. I felt really bad, Superwise. I felt the same way. This family was built in that first movie, and it all went crashing down. And the next movie is going to be the build-up, the family being built back together. It's going to be that, but like, see, kind of Gwen knowing that Miles was in the wrong universe with the Spidey sense, and kind of Miles realizing, because Miles ends up going back, like Miles doesn't know he's in the wrong universe until he kind of reveals that he's Spider-Man to his mother. And said he wasn't afraid of anything out there. Like, he's like, I'm not afraid of anything out there. Like, you know what I mean? I defeated them all. I defeated them all, and I'm not afraid of anything that tries to come after us. Like, I'm not afraid at all. And he ends up telling his mom, like, it reveals that he's Spider-Man. And I thought instantly I thought he was home for one. I thought he was home, and I was like, oh great, Miguel, and also we had Jessica Drew, and we also had, I think his name, Ben Reilly's Spider-Man. They all go to Miles' universe. I was like, oh shit, bro, they're gonna try to stop him from doing this. I was like, oh my god, they're there too. Are they gonna try to run up in there, grab him, and try to like take him back to HQ? What's gonna happen? But he ends up revealing to his mom, I'm Spider-Man. And then when she says, who's Spider-Man? I said, what? What do you mean, who's Spider-Man? At that point, I was like, oh my god, he is in the wrong universe. I kind of got the grasp of that from there. When she said, who is Spider-Man? I was like, oh shit, that's not good. You said, Austin, you said, yeah, but there's going to be a better one in the third movie. Yeah, exactly. There's gonna be a better kind of family dynamic, new family being built up, also with the old family. It's gonna they're building upon the old family that was torn down, and we're gonna see that being built back up in the new and beyond the Spider Verse, which I can't wait, Austin. That's for sure. You said yeah, movie bud. Yeah, I was like exactly. Yeah, it's gonna be really cool seeing that kind of like the old and the new family being built up to go help Miles out in the next movie. It's gonna be super fun. But the moment when like she released when he revealed I'm Spider-Man, she didn't know who Spider-Man was, and then we end up finding out that Uncle Aaron, like because he gets Spider Sense to who's opening the door, and it is Uncle Aaron. And he's kind of at shock, like oh my god, like it's Uncle Aaron. Mainly shock of like Uncle Aaron, like you can see how much he misses Uncle Aaron in this movie. He misses his friends. He misses Peter B. Parker. He misses Spider Ham. He misses a Black Noir, or not Black Noir. He misses Spider Noir. He misses Penny Parker. He misses Gwen. He misses everybody. And on top of Uncle Aaron, and him seeing Uncle Aaron again, just seeing a familiar face of someone he really really misses, and that's why he went to go hug Uncle Aaron. And when I was like, "Yeah, are you good? Are you okay?" And he said, "Oh, you took your braids out." You know what I mean? And he's like, "Yeah, I took my braids out." Because at that point, Miles does know I'm in a different universe, and we get the point where like he tells Miles, we got a rule. And I mean, he says, "Oh, is that security? Does that security alarm go off or whatever?" He's like, "Or does the electricity go off at the time, or the timer go off, like you said?" Mind you, at that point, I knew, oh my god, like this Miles of this universe is doing hits with Uncle Aaron as the Prowler. I was like, oh my god, like damn, like this Miles must be bad. I was like, I knew at that point when he's telling, like when he was explaining to Miles, like, is that alarm set off, or is that alarm gonna go off like you said it was gonna go off at that time, like, or let's roll. I knew instantly like this Miles is bad. I knew it, and then we get to the point where like we get on the rooftop, and at that point, there's this scary look that like that was it that Uncle Aaron has when he's kind of looking like this outside, and then Miles turns around and we see from another person's perspective, from like the Prowler kind of from the Prowler kind of I forget what you would call it, but kind of like the lens from inside the Prowler kind of helmet. We see that from the scanner of that he's looking at Miles, and then jumps up and then like knocks out Miles, and then we get to the point where like Miles is tied up on Uncle Aaron's apartment, like tied up on like with chains on the punching bag, kind of like a callback to when Peter B. Parker was chained, like was all chained up on the like all like tied up with chains on the punching bag. In Uncle Aaron's apartment where Miles took him there, kind of trying to get answers about Peter B. Parker. So it's kind of like a callback to that. But when the moment where like Miles is like explaining, saying like the spider that bit me was supposed to bite someone here. I'm Spider-Man of a different universe, and the spider that bit me was supposed to bite somebody here, and not supposed to bite me. And in my universe, I have an Uncle Aaron, or I have an Uncle Aaron. He's like, at least I have an Uncle Aaron. You know what I mean? He died, but I know that he wanted to be good. And the moment where like Uncle Aaron puts on the Prowler glove and like does the punch, I thought he like punched off Miles's head. Did anybody else get that vibe? Like when Uncle Aaron put on like the Prowler glove and like punched the punching bag, and we saw like the splatter. I thought bro knocked off Miles's dome. Like I thought that. I was like, I gasped. I said, I was like, there's no way they just did that in a kids movie. I was like, speaking of a kid, this ain't a kids movie, bro. Like also, I want to like give my little take on that. These movies might be PG, Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, but they're definitely not like kids movies. Like I want to set the record straight. Like they're not kids movies. Like come on, let's not bullshit. Goggles, yes, goggles. Thank you, Austin. Goggles. But like when he had the kind of like the goggles on, I knew instantly. I knew instantly that was like Miles. I knew instantly. I was like, that's Miles. That was Miles, because if Uncle Aaron's not wearing the Prowler costume, and he said earlier saying, oh, like is the alarm supposed to go off like you said, and we see someone having the kind of like the Prowler get up on, I was like, that's Miles. But we ended up finding out at the moment where like he actually doesn't end up punching off Miles's head. He ends up turning around Miles, and we actually, because I guess he's like Uncle Aaron's like saying like, I'm not the Prowler that you think I'm the Prowler. I'm not. Turns him around. And then, of course, we see the Prowler end up walking over and says, your dad's still alive? And then Miles is like, what? And he said, your dad he's still alive. And then Miles is like, who are you? And then of course he opens up the mask, and mind you, we all kind of had an idea when we saw the Jordans on his feet and the braids on. He had braids in the back of the Prowler mask. You could see his braids. We kind of had an idea that, especially if the Jordans didn't say it enough, if you didn't know previously before that, the Jordans made it perfectly clear that that's Miles. But it wasn't until the mask opened and he said, I'm Miles Morales. And he has a more like, you can definitely tell he has a more Puerto Rican accent with the Z for the Miles Morales. Like you mean like you could totally tell at that point. And the reason he has that more deeper accent is because Jeff died of that universe. That Jeff, like Miles's father of that universe, died. And that was supposed to be his canon Uncle Ben moment of that Miles of that universe, is his father dying, and with the great power comes great responsibility kind of moment for him. And he was supposed to, that Miles of that it became the Prowler was supposed to be Spider-Man, become Spider-Man. That Spider was supposed to be that Miles of that universe, and was supposed to, and that was that his father dying of, I mean, the Miles of that universe, his father dying was supposed to be his Uncle Ben moment and going against his father. I mean, about him, I'm thinking it was a passing of the torch, like that Uncle Aaron was the Prowler and he passed it down probably to Miles. Or maybe when he said, oh, I'm not the Prowler, maybe him not being bit by the spider and his father dying, and it's a universe that has no Spider-Man, maybe he became the Prowler. He came up with the idea of becoming Prowler. That might be what they're doing, where like he became the Prowler. It wasn't a passing of the torch. He became the Prowler after his father died, of just his pure anger probably of his father dying in that universe. I just like how like we don't really know the idea of like, did he become Prowler on his own, or was it the passing of the torch? You know what I mean? It's because he didn't have a good role model, and it's because and all he had was his Uncle Aaron that was taking a dark path already of him being Prowler and him passing it down to Miles. Either way, that was very dark when he said, I'm Miles Morales. And he's kind of like, Miles is like, I need to get back to my universe. Our father is going to die. And he said, your father. And at that point, he's like, please, you need to let me go. He's like, why would I do that? And of course, we get Gwen, going to Peter B. Parker's universe, recruiting him. And also we get the big like open pan shot of that. We also have Hobie being a part of this new group. We have Penny. We have Spider Bite, which is a new character that we got to meet that actually is the one that sent Miles home before Miles almost got attacked by Miguel, when Miguel was kind of trying to open up the transporter before he transported to his universe. But of course, as we know, it wasn't his universe. It was the Earth 42 where the spider came from. But we Spider Bite's a part of it now. We have Black Noir back again. We have Spider Ham again. We have like the old group and the new group there as well. I think also Spider India was there. Pavetra Parker, I think he was there too. I can't quite remember if he's a part of the new group or not. I could see where if they didn't show him in that final panel, he'll probably show up at some point to help them out, I bet. But that was such a cool shot. And then the shot where like we get back to the point where like when that Miles said, why would I do that? Like, why would I let you go? And puts his fist on the side of Miles's head while he's just like, hanging there. And you can just see on Miles' face, he's almost like, damn, I'm going to have to fight this dude and fight my way out of here to go save my father in time. Mind you, Spot showed up. Spot is now showed up in Miles' universe now. And we're getting to like the day where like the Spot is actually going to destroy Miles' universe, but also try to kill his father. We're getting to that point. We probably only have like 1 day left, 2 days left before Miles can get there. But like Spot has arrived in Miles' universe, and Miles is stuck, trapped, having to try to fight having to fight the Miles of that universe of Earth 42 that was supposed to get bit. That is now the Prowler that is kind of not letting that version of Miles that did get bit by the spider leave. So it is kind of interesting with the point where like he has his fist there, and it's like you see the intense with the music, and then you see Miles kind of trying to build electricity up from the chains, and he kind of has the little spark there, and he's kind of looking back at that Miles, and you can already tell. I'm really hoping we get like the first opening of Beyond the Spider-Verse is him whooping that other Miles' ass, that Prowler Miles' ass. I feel like at that point when he's got that spark of lightning, we already know that Miles is like game on. It's game on. It's go time. You think you know what you're dealing with. You don't. You chose this dark path. I didn't make you like that. Like he's probably thinking it's go time. You won't let me leave. You're not standing in my way. I didn't. I got way too. I've gone way too far trying to get stop the spot from killing my father, and I'm not gonna let you get in my way. I'm not gonna let it happen. I like that. I like that. He's kind of like having to go against himself now. He's now fighting himself now. I love that. I love that. It's so fire. I can't get over how cool the ending of this movie was. And then we, of course, says, Gwen's like, are you gonna join? Like she says that before it cuts to black, and then we get the whole to be continued, which was crazy. When we get the to be continued of this movie, I flipped out. I was like, there's no way they just left us on it. Literally, this is Sony. What Sony has done with these movies, they've literally have given us Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. They gave us that. They gave us like our Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. They literally gave us the best of Marvel with this trilogy of Miles movies. You like, did anybody catch that? They're giving us our Infinity War and Endgame. That's what they're giving us. I said that instantly. Like I said it instantly over the Troy. I leaned over to my bro Troy. I was like, dude, they're giving us the Infinity War and Endgame. Oh, that's what Sony is giving us with Spider-Man movies. I was like, there ain't no way. So I feel like everybody is kind of like, we're getting MCU vibes also, like with the whole to be continued and kind of like people's excitement and people like, oh no, you can't just. I feel like people's oh no, you can't just leave us off like that was kind of like what people's oh no, you can't just leave us off like that when we got Infinity War and we saw people dust away. And it said like, and we had to wait until Endgame. We have the Infinity War of Endgame of Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse and now Beyond the Spider-Verse. Like we have it. Sony is killing it right now with the Spider-Verse movies. They're killing it. I'm so glad that that's working. Yeah, Superwise, you said Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse is the best ways we know Miles is Prowler in another universe. In the first movie, when Miles Spidey scenes, it goes from green, purple, his past fate, to red, blue, his new fate. Yes, exactly. Oh yeah, you're right. Because it switches, because it was supposed to go red and blue for that Miles if he would have got bit over there. But since he didn't get bit, it's kind of like, no, it goes to like green and blue, or green and purple for the other one, and then blue and red. Yeah, red and blue for the Miles of this. Yeah, Superwise, you're right. Definitely. Like, we kind of did get a hint to that. Yeah. But I definitely like how, like for things we didn't pay attention for, because like I said, I thought it was just a glitch for the spider because they were trying to show like how unstable and how it was like radioactive. I thought that's what they were trying to do when the spider was glitching. I never would have thought, oh my god, it's because it wasn't supposed to be in this universe. That's why it's glitching. I like how now we're all catching this. This just goes to show how great these writers, how great like the makers of these movies are. I gotta remember. I don't remember their name. If you guys can like say it down in the chat, I'm actually gonna look up their names, like the two makers of the movie. Yeah, me too. I absolutely hope the opening scene of the third movie is a big fight between the two Miles and our Miles kicking that world's Miles ass for sure. Austin would be the greatest thing in history, bro. Facts. I'm so excited for that fight. It's gonna be insane. I think I have it on the top of my head what the name of the two directors are. I'm just like blanking right now. Let me look. We'll probably say it right here. Let's go to IMDb because it's gonna tell me. Directors. I don't know. Kem Powers, Justin K. Thompson, or is it Phil Lord and Christopher? Yeah, I think it's Phil Lord and Christopher Miller are the two dudes that are the writers. Yeah, I think that those two writers fire. If those are the two dudes I'm talking about. Let me look. Because I just want to make sure that that's actually them. those are the dudes I'm talking about. Phil Lord. Let me look at. Yeah. Yes. Phil Lord and yeah and oh yeah and Christopher Miller. Fire. Those two dudes. They're good. They're good. I'm so glad that they brought the writers back. I'm so glad. I'm so glad because they're the reason that these movies work. They're writing peakness. Like, you know what I mean? They're writing peak. But you said, okay, yeah, you said this really about to be the best comic book movie. Dude, super wise. Thank you too, bro, that you're saying that because I totally agree. This is the best superhero trilogy. And then I would say Captain America. If I'm adding in like just trilogies in general, whether it be like adding MCU trilogies or trilogies in general, it's definitely this trilogy, Captain America trilogy. Then I would probably say the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, and then I would say the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy. That's probably how I would say it, bro. But it's crazy to me. It's crazy. Like, those are probably the best trilogies of all time when it comes to like comic book movies. I definitely think so. Lord and Miller. Yeah, Lord and Miller, producer. Yeah, produce and write the script. Yeah, bro. Yeah, Superwise. Yeah, thanks for letting me know, man. I appreciate you. But yeah. Lord and Miller. Oh, bro, I think they are back for Beyond too. They're going to be writing Beyond and producing. I think that they are. At least I hope they are, because this movie just won't work without them. Because they're honestly, I'm gonna say it, they are the Russo brothers for Sony. They are the Russo brothers for Sony. Like, honestly, I'm gonna be honest. I want the MCU to bring Lord and Miller over here to do some movies. Honestly, they're the Russo brothers for Sony. They definitely are. And I find it funny because they are giving us the Infinity War and Endgame of the Spider-Man trilogy. That's what they are doing. That's what they are doing. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. And it's crazy also because could you imagine like if like the Russos did Age of Ultron, and what I would say, well, no, it's, I guess you could say that like Civil War is an Avengers movie because it kind of ties into like, you know, the big events of like Infinity War and Endgame. So like it also goes to show that they did also Lord and Miller. They also did Into the Spider-Verse, this movie, and then they're going to be doing Beyond. So it's like, again, they are the Russo brothers because the Russo brothers did Captain America: Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame. Lord and Miller did Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, and Beyond the Spider-Verse. They are the Russo brothers of Sony. I'm telling you. Lord and Miller are awesome behind the Lego movie 21 Jump Street. They did 21 Jump Street. I love 21 Jump Street, and I love the Lego movie. That's awesome. They're funny. They're funny. They're smart. They put a lot of love and care into what they do. DCU, MCU, give them more to do. Facts, bro. I totally agree with you. Yeah, totally agree with you, Zach. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, awesome. I'm telling you, like, they are the Russo brothers, bro. They are. I don't know if they do it, but Lord and Miller writing Tom's new bro. Supervised, bro. Don't give me hope like that. They write Tom's continuing Spider-Man trilogy. I'm talking best live action Spider-Man movies of all time. If they do it, because now that Tom Holland's Peter Parker is now officially Spider-Man at the end of No Way Home, and now knowing that like Miles lives in the same building as Peter Parker at the end of No Way Home, and if they continue for the next 3 movies, Lord and Miller writing and producing, take my money. Take my money. Best Spider-Man movies of all time live action. And they will go down in history. Already they're going down in history as like the best like producers and writers of all time right now. But if they direct too, those movies, best producer, writer, directors of all time. If they do all that with Tom's movies. 100%, bro. I totally agree with you. Truly would be peak. And since they have a history with Miles, they can bring in the live action version. I agree with you, Supervised, bro. We're saying the same thing, bro. I agree. Yeah, man. it'd be peak. Yeah, bro. Yeah, it'd be so freaking peak. Comic movie content, I tell you. Yeah, yeah. I, peak. Take my money. If Sony would do that, that's Sony thinking. That would, dude, I would actually say that's an Amy Pascal win. I usually never say that, but that'd be a major win if she said, yo, you want to write, produce, direct the next 3 Tom movies and bring in Miles? That's a win for her. That is a win. I will give a big round of applause if she does that. That would be probably the first best thing she would ever do. Is that one that'd probably be the greatest thing she would ever do. Honestly. I can't lie. Facts. That'd be great. But this movie was just fantastic, guys. I just want to appreciate everybody that's been in the live stream with me for the spoiler talk. I love talking to you guys. I know I kind of went on for a long time and kind of went through the plot, but I wanted to go through the plot, kind of give my like favorite moments of each sequence. I know it was probably long, and I've just been chatting away. It might have been boring for some people. Again, I'm sorry if it was, but I appreciate you guys being in here and you're kind of sticking with me and kind of giving your opinions of what you liked about the movie and kind of and telling me how excited you are for Beyond the Spider-Verse. It just really means a lot to me, guys, that we're talking in here. I love doing this with you guys. It's the best. I love it. You said, Austin, oh man, I love 21 Jump Street movies, brother. And if they actually give us a live action Miles Morales, that would be awesome, man. I agree, Austin. It'd be freaking phenomenal, man. It'd be so awesome. Oh my God, fingers crossed that Lord and Miller, come in here and get to like, do the next 3 Tom movies. Like, let's hope. I honestly hope they direct and write and produce. I honestly hope so, because if this is any indication, whether they don't do any like Marvel, if they don't do any like, if they don't have anything to do with the live action, Tom Spider-Man stuff, I just want the MCU to bring them over and do some TV shows or some movies or something. Like, and the MCU needs to get these 2 writers and producers. They have to, because like this is the content I want. Like, let them. I'm gonna be honest. Let them do Secret Wars. Let them do it. Why the hell not? I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Like, Secret Wars is gonna be a big multiverse movie, and they did an amazing job here. And they're kind of. I think they're looking for someone to do Secret Wars, and I think Kang Dynasty, if I'm correct, because I think the one dude that did Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I think he left. So honestly, let them do. Because I know the director of Kang Dynasty is gonna be I forget what his name is. It's the dude that did Shang-Chi. I don't know why I'm blanking, but if they would let him let them both produce and write the script of Kang Dynasty, or even just produce and script and also produce and write and also like direct Secret Wars, it'd be fire. Or even just produce and write, I don't care, but like it still would be fire. See what I'm saying? Like, crazy. They almost wrote The Flash, bro. Superwise, if they almost would have they folded. I probably would have went to go see that movie if they wrote the script. They also have a history with DCU and the new era. I mean, Booster Gold or Lanterns, anything. It'd be the definition of peak. Give them more. Yeah, give them more. Give them some more. They are the golden goose. They are the golden goose. Facts, bro. Still waiting for 23 Jump Street. Zach, IS the G. Wait, what does ISTG stand for? Instantly. Are you saying instantly? I think that's what you're trying to say. Instantly. Yeah. Oh, bro, I need it too. Like, I need 23. I've been waiting for 23 Jump Street for the longest time. I feel hurt we just haven't gotten it. Yeah. For real, yo, Marvel, take my money. Exactly. Like, Austin, yeah, Marvel needs to take my money if they get them. Now that James Gunn is gone, Lord and Miller in the MCU would be a get. 100%. I agree with you, bro. Yo, Superwise, we're right here, bro. We're right here. I agree with everything you're saying right now. It's great. Destin Daniel Cretton, yes, is directing Shang-Chi. I don't know why. It's been such a long minute since I've heard his name. I just blank. I went straight blank. It's been a long day. But thank you. I appreciate you, bro, for saying his name. Um. Is a swear to God. Oh, okay. Is swear. Okay. Is I swear to God. Okay. Cool. Cool. Because I didn't know what that meant. But thank you. Thank you for letting me know, bro. But yeah, guys, it was super fun. It was super fun doing this live stream for the spoiler talk. I appreciate it, guys. Again, here, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, post notifications, like this stream. I would really appreciate it if you guys can like the stream. It helps out a lot with building up the channel. Definitely share my spoiler talk for Across the Spider-Verse. And yeah, again here, guys, if you're I guess, yeah, guys, if you're new to the channel, like I said, subscribe to the channel, post notifications, like this video. I don't know what other like kind of videos I'm going to be making. We really don't have that much content coming out, I would per se, but like I heard that we might be getting some Spider-Man 2 PS5 stuff maybe on Thursday and also this Saturday for some Game Awards stuff that's going to be happening. Expect maybe a live stream maybe Thursday or Saturday, depending on if we get any news for Spider-Man 2 PS5, whether it be any like new gameplay footage or maybe a new trailer or something. Just expect probably, if me not going live, but expect maybe a live stream or expect maybe me making a video over on my gaming channel. Movie-wise, we only have Transformers Rise of the Beast coming out. I'll probably go see it. I probably won't review it. It depends. I have no clue. Depending on how much I like it. I don't know. But other than that, I mean, I feel like any other movies going forward, I don't really care about. I mean, quite honestly, because this was it. I feel like you could end 2023 here right now, and I would be like, that's about right. Like, you know what I mean? Like, we could just end it, and I'd be like, okay, like, that's it. Or we could just end movies right now, and I'd be like, I'm good. I'm good for this year. We could end movies this year for right now with this movie, and I'd be like, nothing else can beat it. So who cares about the other film? I'm at that point where I'm like, I don't really care about any other, Transformers right now. I don't really care about, I don't care at all about the Flash, but that's a whole nother story. But like, I mean, I'm excited for Mission Impossible, but I just feel like nothing is gonna beat this. Great stream as usual, bro. Superwise, I appreciate you, man, for being in here. It means a lot to me. You were saying a lot in the chat, and it makes me happy. I love talking to you, man. Austin, thanks for being in here, man. I really appreciate you. You were talking a lot in the chat, and I always love talking to you too, man. You said, Austin, you said, awesome stream, brother. Thanks a lot, buddy. Anytime. I love doing these streams. It's super fun, especially like doing these live spoiler talk live streams. I think this will be a normal thing for me going forward, so that way we can like all talk about what we liked about the movie. I just find it fun, and just makes things more interesting. Thursday is Summer Game Fest. There we go. Thank you, dude. Thank you. It's Summer Game Fest. Superwise just said it down in the chat. Summer Game Fest. I probably will be doing, because apparently I heard that they did like a trailer. They added like the gameplay in the trailer for Summer Game Fest. So people are thinking we could be getting something Spider-Man 2 related, maybe in like on Thursday. I don't think we are, but who knows? Showcase Spider-Man 2 footage. So maybe they're teasing something. Exactly. Like maybe, I don't know. I feel like at the end of the day, it could be reaching. I don't want to do a live stream if they're not going to show anything, because I don't really care about any other game except that game. So if they have a trailer, expect me to do a reaction over on the gaming channel. If they have any news that's big, I will do a video on the gaming channel. But I don't know if I'm outright going to do a whole live stream for something that they're not going to show. I know on Saturday, you said 90% of the time we are on the same level. It's great. Well, 100%. We usually are. We usually are, bro. You're not lying. We usually are. But I heard also Saturday, Yuri Lowenthal, who plays the voice of Spider-Man for Insomniac, and also the voice of MJ in the Insomniac Spider-Man games, are going to be hosting something on Saturday. I heard. We could be getting something for that. I don't. Yuri said make sure you tune in, so maybe. I don't know. Like I said, if we get anything, I will do a video. If we get any like trailer or any new gameplay, I will do a reaction. just expect if they do anything with Spider-Man 2, I will probably do a reaction or a video if there's any news over on the gaming channel. So if you haven't done so, definitely go subscribe over at the gaming channel at the Heroverse Gaming. Definitely go do so. It's super fun over there. If you guys want any news on Spider-Man 2 PS5, I will be covering that over on my gaming channel. Not only that, but when that game comes out, you best believe I'm streaming that shit all night. All night long. No breaks, no nothing, no sleeping. I've been playing that all night long. I'm hoping it honestly comes out early so that way I can play it all day for you guys. But I'm playing it. It's happening. So expect a live, like me to do like a live stream when I get the game on my gaming channel. So if you haven't done so, definitely go put the notifications on, subscribe to the channel. Definitely go do so. You said very fair on the Flash, lol. But if you happen to see it opening weekend, pretty dead set on a live Flash spoiler talk. So if you want in, I'll hit you up on Twitter. Bet. If you're gonna, yeah. Yeah, if I do end up seeing it, if I do, I don't think I will. My sister's going to see it. I don't want to support the movie, but I said to myself, I don't pay for Max. So, like, I'll probably watch it when it gets on Max. But other than that, I just don't really want to support the movie. But I would love to kind of, like, if not, if anything, if I'm not in the, like, in the kind of, like, the live stream with you for your live spoiler review, I'll definitely be watching and probably, like, hear what you guys have to say for sure. See how you guys liked it. But yeah, it's definitely going to be very interesting to see, like, kind of like how the opening weekend will be for the movie, like what people are projecting the movie's going to do, how well it's going to do. I can imagine that well, but like you never know. They're really like showcasing a lot with Michael Keaton. I feel like they're really hoping that that's going to drive in a lot of like nostalgia fans from like his movies. That think that say that they like that or like that's hit their Batman from when they were younger. So I feel like they're really trying to like hone in on this nostalgia for Michael Keaton. So you never know. It might do a really good opening weekend. It might not. It's I don't know. We won't know honestly until the release of the movie. But either way, I am interested to see what that movie does on money wise. Financially, how it performs is gonna be very interesting, dude. If I heard if it does well, the dude I forget his name, the one that made the Flash movie, I can't remember his name, but he said that if he's gonna make a second Flash movie, Ezra's gonna come back, and I already am saying to myself, I'm not, yeah, bro, like I don't know. Personally, I'm like, bro was weird for that because I'm like, how are you gonna tell me you're okay with Ezra coming back as the Flash after all the shit you know? Mind you, you filmed this movie prior before Ezra did anything, but now that you know, you're saying if you make another movie, he's gonna be like Ezra's gonna be Flash again. I'm not okay with that. I think the director was weird for that. I'm like, I can't give any respect for him for that. But honestly, it's gonna be very interesting to see how the movie does. But guys, I'm gonna end the spoiler talk here. Definitely, like I said, it'd be awesome if you guys could share the spoiler talk live stream. It means a lot to me if you guys could do that for me, and make sure you guys like the stream. And if you haven't done so already, if you, like I said, guys, if you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel, punch notifications, like this video. But guys, that was the stream. Hope everybody has a great day, a safe day, and I'll see you guys next time in a minute. I'm actually gonna read supervise your thing real quick. You said Ezra is not even doing press for the first movie. Yeah, I heard about that too. How is Ezra gonna do press in the future? Lol. The controversy will always be there. Great stream, man. Take care. Yeah, you too, man. Thank you for being in here. And yeah, you're right. It's always gonna be there. So it wouldn't make any sense for the director to make a second movie and bring him back. It just won't make any sense. But yeah, guys, that was the stream. Hope everybody has a great day, a safe day. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.